Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of
The Geek Buddies! Hey!
Well, I think we figured out the audio issues, or rather, I figured out the audio issues, and hopefully we figured out the camera issues as well. But we were coming to you live from the office here in my house.
I think you both look lovely.
Oh, so do you. Thank you very much. I love that shirt. What is that shirt?
It's that old popsicle, strawberry shortcake popsicles.
I love how you say it's old. They still sell them.
Well,
still buy
I
them.
haven't eaten them in a very long time.
Oh, yes.
From back when I was a youngster.
Hence the differences in body type, right? A little larger on my side, a little more, way more in shape.
That's the closest he can get to one of those
That's-
right now.
I vaguely remember what they taste like.
They're just a dream. Just a dream.
A strawberry dream is what they are. But welcome, everybody, to this episode. Thank you so much for dealing with the audio issues last week, but we got them figured out hopefully this week, and we'll be good to go. And I thank my girlfriend for helping me figure out how to like this damn office in a way that's a little more palatable for everyone who's watching. So thanks again for your patience.
Did she do this?
She did all of this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like
You
now.
better.
Yeah.
You better never let that lady go.
I know. I'm marrying her. Relax. Jesus. I do things for her. Sometimes.
Do you?
Sometimes.
What did you do? What have you done for her lately?
She pulled out the scorecard the other day. It did not look good. Yeah.
I'm just glad she's got a scorecard.
I didn't know she had a scorecard, but she pulled it out because she was doing so. She spent about 6 hours looking up cameras for me because I want to get a new camera to put in here. And I asked her to look. I thought it was going to take her an hour. No, I should have known. My completely anal retentive lady was like looking through everything and compiling.
I hope she's not listening right now.
No, she probably won't watch this, I probably imagine. But so she was looking through everything and trying to figure it all out step by step. And when she finally did, she was like, okay, here's the camera that you need to go. And I'm like, oh, that's a little bit higher than... There's a budget. What is the limit so that I can go back and look at it? And I was like, I think under 1,000 would be great. And she was like, that changes everything. Do you want 4K or not? I'm like, I'm sorry. Yes, 4K would be nice.
You're pretty.
Yeah, basically. Like, I should have given her all the specifics. I had no idea. I was just like, find me a camera. And I just thought she'd just understand. And, of course, that's my mistake. But anyway, she said, what do you do for me? She said the other day. What do you do for me? And I was just like, I give you love. I support you. I think you're great.
Ooh, yeah.
But it's more than that.
It's a bad answer.
Was that the end of the list?
No, there was more. I
Okay.
mean, now that I'm unemployed in this damn house, I'm house husbanding the fuck out of this place. So I'm the one cleaning up in the kitchen and, washing the dishes and putting stuff away. So, I'm doing my part. And I support her making this transition into photography. I've been very supportive of her in those ways. But, in that moment, it didn't seem like I'd done enough. So, And, being in a relationship, you got to take those hits. Someday you'll remember what it's like.
Someday.
Yeah. So don't judge my shit, Vogel.
Not this guy.
I'm just saying. Don't judge my shit. Anyway, let's get off of me and let's start talking about what we're going to talk about here. Hi, I'm John Rocha. I'm a writer and producer and host of the Outlaw Nation and other podcasts. What are you doing?
I am Michael Vogel. I'm a writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies, and apparently single AF.
No.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor, where you may have seen me on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Goldberg, Silicon Valley, and I have a girlfriend.
You do.
So,
Which she's
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
She's very happy to hear you say that, so you don't have trouble anymore. Yeah, I heard that story. As a single man, what?
okay, we don't need to.
I see. It's cool to jump into my shit. Oh, okay.
She just started listening to the
Wow.
podcast again, so this is...
Shaney, you're the best.
For the first time today, single doesn't sound so bad.
It's got a lot hotter in here.
It is the lights.
It's the lighting.
It's what
Yeah,
it is.
it's
The
the
new
lights.
lights. Whew. Anyway, all right. For those of you who are new to the show, thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you who have come back for the show, thank you for continuing to listen or to watch us. And this is how the show works. Each of us talks about a geek news item. We all chime in, and we'll do 3 of them, and then we take a little bit of a break, and then jump into our main topic. And today our main topic is about representation, given on the heels of what Maisie Williams said about the New Mutants having a very predominant lesbian storyline or same-sex storyline. I don't know if it's gay or lesbian, but same-sex storyline.
Well, it's 2 women, so I'm gonna go with lesbian.
All right, fine. Lesbian it is.
Could be bi.
If you want to, limit it, I'm just saying. All right, so lesbian it is. Anyway, we're going to talk about it as our main topic and see if maybe if what that actually means and what people want to see from that in films and television when it's put out there, and what's the right way to do it possibly, and what's the wrong way to do it. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's who's first?
Trailers.
Hey!
This week we had two really great trailers be released. First was the second trailer for Jungle Cruise.
Yes.
From Disney, starring The Rock, starring
Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt, yes.
We got to see a little bit more of Jesse Plemons' villain character, a little bit of Edgar Ramirez's, assuming it's a villain character. So we got a little bit more of the story, and we're getting a little bit more of what the world is going to be. I got thoughts about this trailer. What do you guys think?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I liked it. Jungle Cruise is good for me just because like I don't go in with a lot of expectations on Jungle Cruise. I mean, and the second trailer particularly was giving me some very strong Pirates vibes in a good way.
Okay.
I think The Rock looks charming. I think Emily Blunt in like a fun sort of action comedy role is awesome. I actually kind of think Emily Blunt can do no wrong, so I think she's amazing. And I thought that this kind of had all the pieces of the things that I liked about the Pirates franchise before the Pirates franchise got way too overcomplicated and crazy and kind of fell apart under its own weight. So I was feeling really good about this. This is a movie that I kind of, when they announced they were making it, I was kind of like ho-hum about, and both trailers have kind of just made me smile. Like they just kind of put a big grin on my face. You do not look like you feel the same way. Shannon, if you're listening to this, Shannon is giving me a look right now.
Which is ironic because he said they're both really great trailers, so he must feel positive about it, don't you think?
You know, I'm positive he's giving me a look.
Well, I would like to hear your thoughts.
Oh, okay.
John?
Well, I enjoyed it as well. I definitely saw the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff that you could sense. Also, a little bit of Indiana Jones, the fact that the woman has the amulet on her necklace.
Little Marion Ravenwood.
Got a little bit of Marion Ravenwood there. I like that there was the right mix of comedy in this. The Rock trying to put his foot on that thing.
That foot moment really made me laugh.
Right?
That was funny.
Right?
That was
Because we've
very
never
funny.
seen that in film.
Oh,
and
Shannon
all of us have
definitely
been
didn't like the
through it.
trailer. We just got that part was
yeah,
funny.
that part was
we
funny.
just got that part was very good.
Try to present the trailers like you actually feel about them. There were one really great one and one I'm not so sure about. That would maybe have been a better thing. But overall, is my neighbor upset again? But overall, I would say that this is, I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. And like you, Mike, I wasn't sure what to expect. I actually was curious to hear your thoughts because you're such a Disney fanatic. Were there Easter eggs or little nods to people who've been on this Disney?
I think so. I mean, like, Dwayne's, The Rock said, Dwayne, my buddy Dwayne, The Rock says, let's go see the elephants. I mean, the Jungle Cruise as a ride, there's not a ton of story to it. Right. The biggest thing about the Jungle Cruise, sort of from a DNA standpoint, is sort of the cheesy jokes, the way that whoever your captain is on your boat when you take the Jungle Cruise, it's all the puns, the cheesy jokes, the back of the waterfall moment. And so I think even more so than Pirates, it's sort of easy to reinvent this in a movie. Like as long as you've got a couple references to some of those key Jungle Book moments on the ride and a couple of really funny puns or silly jokes, you're kind of there. Okay. I think there's a lot of opportunity to really grow the Jungle Cruise brand, if you will. Yeah.
So my thought was, it is a great trailer. Yeah. But I think you got more of those Easter eggs in the first trailer, like where you got to see how The Rock kind of had animals and natives kind of set up for the benefit of his customers. Right. The thing that makes me nervous about this trailer, because I do think they're hitting all the right notes, but I think I have a decent nose for a good trailer for a not great movie, and I will base that on Rise of Skywalker mainly. That when I first saw that trailer,
you just love to kick dirt in a man's face.
No, I'm just saying, like,
wow.
Happy we mentioned Star Wars.
When I saw that trailer, I'm like, something doesn't feel right. Yeah. And as much as I liked the moments in Jungle Cruise, I really loved the foot moment. That was super, super funny. The Rock as a leading man still makes me a little apprehensive.
Interesting.
Emily Blunt and Jesse Plemons being in it, and I'm getting the feeling that Edgar Ramirez's role is going to not be that significant.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's limited. Yeah.
Those three as actors, I really enjoy. The Rock, I think, is an incredibly charming presence who has some nice acting moments. I don't know if we're going to get that in this. I certainly hope we do.
Is it his size that throws you off? Do you think it's not believable?
I mean, he's huge.
He is.
I mean,
what?
Adam,
Can you articulate what it is about what you've seen that makes you think it's not good?
I think based from the trailer, like it really leans into the music and the action without a whole lot of dialogue. And I think when you're being so stingy with dialogue, I'm like that gives me hesitance.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay.
I think I've got a pretty good nose for a good storytelling, and Rise of Skywalker notwithstanding. Everything about both of these trailers is giving me all like the thumbs up signs. Like I don't feel like there's any major cause for concern. I think it's going to be a very hopefully not, but it seems like a very typical, straightforward. The Rock has been looking for this magical tree his entire life. He's never been able to find it. Now Emily Blunt has the key that's going to get them there. They're hot on the trail of some other people. This tree could do a lot of good. It's a race to the finish line so that see if they can get it before the villains do. I mean, it seems pretty like by the numbers.
Yes.
So
agreed.
a lot of this is going to be in the execution, to your point. But I mean, honestly, like The Rock, I think sometimes he doesn't make the best choice in the movies that he's making.
Sure.
But I think that tonally, this is giving me, it's very, Jungle Book seems like it's very much in the same range as the Jumanji movies. And I think he's lovely in those. I think he's a lot of fun.
And it doesn't feel like there's a love interest here. There's no allusion to any kind of romance here in the
It
second
doesn't
trailer,
seem
at
to
least.
be.
It doesn't seem like it, but I think that's probably definitely going to play a part.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The vibe that I'm getting from it, and this might be great for some folks, just not for me. The vibe I'm getting is the Stephen Sommers Mummy movies. Now, some people
Not a bad comparison, though.
Well, but and some people love those.
Yeah.
For me, I was not a big fan of those.
Okay.
They were just a little too silly for me, and I think that's what this might be. I mean, I hope it's more pirates than the Mummy.
So you think it might be good, you just think it might be silly.
I think it might not be for me.
Right, which is what I mean.
Which is really funny because I gotta say, like watching that trailer, it just has Shannon McClung written all over it.
I agree.
I thought the score. I thought the score in the trailer was really good.
See, I didn't like it.
Yeah, well, you're wrong. But
But
I thought the score.
But that might not be the score for the movie, though.
It might not be, but I actually, whatever that music was, I was like, oh, I really kind of dig that theme right there near the end of the trailer. It's epic archaeological adventure. That is literally your bread and butter, which means you're probably going to be harsher on it while the rest of us enjoy it.
That is very true.
What's the other trailer, Shannon?
Yeah,
We have the third trailer for Black Widow.
final trailer, yeah.
So this one I really, really dug. I mean, we're getting more of a sense of that classic Marvel formula where you have these great sort of comedic dynamics where you see between David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, Florence Pugh, and ScarJo. That sort of family dynamic that you get at the end of the trailer, which was really, really funny. Yeah. And you're getting some more of the emotional story, finding out that all of these women who are in the Red Room program, the Widow program, that they are now under the control of someone else. And yeah, I mean, everything about this trailer, because the first two I thought were really good. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but it's Marvel. It's probably going to check off a lot of boxes for me. This one, I'm fully invested now.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say about it that we haven't already said about the Black Widow trailers, aside from the fact that it was great. The more I see of Taskmaster, the more excited I get.
Oh man,
there was that one
Panther.
There was that one shot of just like the visor kind of watching footage of things, and you see a shield moment, you see an arrow moment, like you really get the sense of like this is like fighting the entire all the Avengers.
Yeah,
and like that's really, really cool. The thing that I've just heard in talking to friends and being on Twitter and talking to all of our geeky friends is that it seems kind of split. Like some people are really excited about this, and some people kind of have a ho-hum feeling about, well, we all know what happens to Black Widow in Endgame. Yeah. Do we really need this movie? Is this really the best way to start Phase 4? And based on every single trailer that I've seen, I just get more and more excited, and I really hope that Marvel just pulls off another Marvel hat trick where a movie that kind of in the hands of any other studio probably would kind of be a ho-hum. Maybe I saw it. Maybe I think that in a bad way, this could be compared to like some of like the Wolverine movies pre-Logan. Like you would like, especially like that second Wolverine movie. The first one's a disaster, but like that second Wolverine movie, you were like, it's fine. It's a fine story. Wasn't great. I think that's how a lot of people are expecting this to be, and I think it's gonna be. I think it seems to have all the good Marvel signs. I hope I'm right.
I think this is the one that sold me 100% on it. Because I'm like you, I was not sure, and I was like kind of on the fence about it. Because I also think this is coming out at the right time. I actually think if we had done it 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been as potent on the heels of her sacrifice, on the heels of what she did. So now we get to have her one more time in this role, and What's the deal with Florence Pugh? What's the deal with Rachel Weisz? What's the deal with David Harbour's character? What are we getting out of this whole family dynamic? Because obviously she said, I had a family before the Avengers. What's that going to lead to here? But what I loved about this trailer, though, was the score was fantastic for this trailer. The action sequences were great. And I think what you brought up, Shannon, is an excellent point. The humor, the Marvel humor that we have come to know from Marvel was really front and center in this trailer. So I think they understood those first two trailers were kind of really deep and dark and mysterious. This last trailer, rather, they wanted to sell that this is going to be a good time in the theater. You're going to have a fun time. Yes, there'll be some real stakes involved in the situation, but overall, you're going to have a fun time in the theater, and it'll feel like a Marvel movie. But the question is, who's Taskmaster? And we saw way more of Taskmaster in this one than we did in any of the other installments. Who is Taskmaster? Is it the same person as the person with the sword? Is it the person that the shield? Who is the Taskmaster?
My money's on Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
My money's on Rachel Weisz. My money was on Rachel Weisz at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
When I saw the footage. I could be totally wrong. This is based on literally nothing. My money's on Rachel Weisz.
I was thinking that too, but then someone pointed out at SCN Live when I was hosting, when I said that on Monday morning after the trailer dropped, I think Rachel Weisz is Taskmaster. Someone said, well, Rachel Weisz is flying the plane where the Taskmaster is on when he jumps into to confront Black Widow.
It's a clone.
It's a clone. All right, fine. There's a vat of
That
clones.
seems to be the answer for everything lately.
But not a full clone, but still able to make babies. Whatever. Anyway, that kind of stuff you got in there. But some people are speculating that it's Florence Pugh. Like a lot of people are speculating that Florence Pugh is supposed to take over the mantle, but a lot of people are speculating that she might be the one that's actually behind, in charge of everything.
You know who it's not? Dave Harbour.
It's not David Harbour.
I'll put my money on that right now.
Still can control them.
that man's not doing any backflips.
Oh, that is not good. But overall, I think the trailer accomplished what it was supposed to accomplish, was to get you excited for this movie that's about to come out in May. Hopefully, if they don't push it, it's about to come out in May. So that is what you wanted it to do in the end, and that's what it did. And honestly, there's only a little bit of Scarlett Johansson in this one. This was more Florence Pugh. This was more Rachel Weisz, David Harbour, and Taskmaster than was her. You know what you're getting with her. So where are we going to go with this? And that's what I liked it. I thought the trailer was badass. It's best one of the three for sure.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah,
Black Widow comes out May 1st, and Jungle Cruise comes out July 24th.
This will be a fun summer.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
See if there are any reviews on the way. Yeah.
Speaking of Marvel,
Yeah.
more Marvel news. It was revealed this week from Vin Diesel. In fact,
Of all people.
in something he probably wasn't supposed to say, but
Right.
glad he said it, that the Guardians of the Galaxy will make an appearance in Thor 4.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions about post Endgame what happens, because as anyone who has seen Endgame, and because you are all geeks, I am sure you all have, as anyone who's seen Endgame knows, at the end of the movie, Thor takes off with the Guardians to parts unknown, and there is a lot of question about who the captain really is. Is it Star-Lord or is it Thor?
Right.
Of course.
Of course. Of course. You say of course, but you're making a face. And what people thought was that Thor was going to be in Guardians 3, but once James Gunn also took over duties on Suicide Squad, things got moved around, and Guardians 3 got pushed back, and Thor 4 got pushed up. And so this is just sort of a confirmation that whatever happens in Thor 4, at least in part, will pick up on what happened after Endgame.
Yeah.
There's no telling what this means. I don't think it means that the Guardians are going to be in the entire movie, although who knows? Maybe they will be. It could just be a really fun cameo and they drop Thor off at the beginning. It could do whatever. I think because this movie is really going to focus more on Natalie Portman becoming female Thor, which is a whole huge story in and of itself. I don't know that there's a ton of time for a lot of other stuff, but it's going to be really cool to see how the Guardians are involved. And again, not that there was any concern about this with Thor 4 with Taika Waititi at the helm, but Guardians showing up means that tonally it's still going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, if this is the case, I mean, I don't think Vin Diesel is always the best source of reliable information. I mean, if there's one thing that he likes to do, he likes to keep his name out here in the headlines.
Yep.
And one way to do that is to be like, oh, by the way, we're all going to be in this. Is it true? I think we all kind of assumed it was going to be true.
Yeah.
Also, he dropped that thing that Alpha Groot, like Groot, we'll see Groot in sort of a new form that we haven't seen yet.
Right.
But yeah, I imagine that they will be just sort of in the opening of the movie. We get to see their latest adventure where Thor's sort of like, all right, see you guys later. Taika Waititi directing Guardians and Thor. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good combo of people. But you bring up a good point, Mike. I mean, the Jane Foster story is already So if they're going to use that run where she became female Thor, there's like breast cancer involved here. There's her joining the Avengers. There's all kinds of things that are involved in here with her. And so you wonder what direction they're going to go. How much of that element is going to, how much of those elements are going to show up
Yeah,
in this Thor 4?
I don't think they're going to deal with her joining the Avengers right off the bat.
Right,
I think that obviously if there is a new Avengers team coming down the road, Phase 4 is kind of stacking the deck for potentially a new Black Widow, a new Thor, much like they did in the comics. Right. The cancer bit, though, I am really curious about. You know, Taika Waititi's movies do tend to be on the more fun side of the Marvel Universe, and the Jane Foster storyline in the comics, for those that haven't read it, does involve the fact that Jane Foster does have cancer. Right. And I can say this, right? It's not a spoiler. It's been in the comics.
It's
I can
in the
yeah,
comics,
okay, right. And the whole thing that's kind of really interesting about that run is that every time that Jane Foster uses the hammer to transform into Thor, it wipes all the impurities out of her body, including all of the chemo that's supposed to get rid of the cancer. And because the cancer cells are, even though their cancer is still part of her body, the hammer doesn't wipe those out. So she'll be going to do chemo, but every time she transforms, it sets her back to ground zero again, so the cancer keeps getting worse.
Yep. And
so it's a really interesting, kind of powerful story.
Absolutely. And Odinson is involved in this, so I don't know if they're going to bring Anthony Hopkins back as some kind of vision or some kind of astral plane projection or whatever. Anything is possible there. But there's already so much to deal with that storyline. Throwing in the Guardians, I think the Guardians, if they do what you suggested, Shannon, where it's like in the first 10 minutes of the movie and then we roll on from there, then that makes the most sense. But it's just nice that it's going to pick up after Endgame, and we're going to see more of their interaction, which was really one of the selling points of Endgame for me, and see where they go with it. So I'm excited about that. And is Beta Ray Bill going to be in this thing? Is Taika Waititi going to find a way to put Beta Ray Bill in this thing? I don't know. So this could be this could be a really big film that is a fourth film in the run of a series, which is essentially a singular title within the franchise of Marvel.
Well, and there's also the question, I mean, I kind of assume the same as you do, but there's also, given the way this movie could roll out, there's also a big question, like Thor might not show up at the beginning. You know, we could be focused on Jane Foster for the first 90 minutes of this movie, and Thor could come in the third act with the Guardians for a big finale. So I do think, and this is one of the pluses of the way that Marvel works, is that they are better able to dodge and weave with changes. You know, I mean, obviously the intention post Endgame was Guardians 3 is going to come up next. We'll do whatever we're doing with Thor, and then Thor 4 is going to come after. And those things switched around, and whatever they did, they had to do some, thinking in the kind of Marvel story group to kind of be like, what are we going to do? And so it'll be interesting to see, I mean, I think with Thor 4, clearly there's a ton of questions. The Guardians being in it is just one more big question mark. I think this is definitely one that people are super excited about.
Well, and wasn't it officially announced that Christian Bale's playing the villain?
It was announced, yes.
Like, we don't know who the villain is, but
Twitter went crazy with that one.
Yeah.
Speculation that he could be that, what is it, Roxanne, the head of Roxanne?
Yeah, it's going to rattle her cage.
What is that reference?
Swear to me.
Oh, I see. Well, a lot of people thought Tessa said fantastic on purpose when she said he's going to be fantastic. So a lot of people think he might be Dr. Doom.
Ooh. I mean, and again, I think you can't ever say this enough. Marvel Cinematic Universe is different from the comics.
Yeah.
So there's always the possibility that he could be both.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, sure.
There's no reason in the Marvel Cinematic Universe Victor Von Doom couldn't be the head of Roxanne.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
So
this is what some
lots of questions, guys. Yeah. Marvel Cinematic Universe not going anywhere anytime soon.
Well, I had not heard that. I'm shook right now.
Yeah, you shook?
Well, speaking of universes that should go away, John, what's your next topic?
Listen, pal, when you host the show, I'll tell you. Until then, you can calm it down. Here's what we're going to talk about, because these Marvel shills won't stop talking about Marvel. Let's talk about DC. And that's the fact that Zack Snyder, that's right. Speaking of guys like to keep their name in the news, Zack Snyder just jumped out here talking about this reshoot possibly happening for, I'm getting this from Screen Rant. Shout out to Stephen M. Colbert. I don't know if it has relations to the other Colbert. But Zack Snyder wants to shoot extra scenes for the Justice League for his version. His most recent tease is he invited the winner of 1,200 fan poster submissions behind the scenes for additional photography for Zack Snyder's Justice League, while also saying it was unlikely, quote unquote, and highly speculative. And this is all just to keep it in the news, keep talking about it, whatever, and keep the taste in people's mouths to see this thing. Of course, he's still got to shoot stuff with Martian Manhunter because he never got around to Martian Manhunter, who's Harry Lennox in the movie. There's stuff with more Superman. There's stuff with Lois Lane. There's stuff with Superman. There's all the stuff with Wonder Woman. There's all the stuff he wanted to shoot that he would have to get around to and getting. And, he doesn't have a budget yet. He doesn't have the money for it yet. So this is all just fun, playful stuff. But that being said, AT&T has that HBO Max thing coming. So would they put the money into it? I don't know. But this is another way. And once again, Snyder knows what he's doing, playing with the fans, playing to the fans, getting them on board, and getting a summation. But see, there's a lot of stuff here. Some of the context clues and familiarity with Snyder's sense of humor makes it clear this is being said with a wink. I think they compared it to getting a ticket for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory if you won this thing, which I think was funny as well. Ben Affleck says his passion for the role is gone. They can't get Cavill to come back to the table, so would he be able to do it for a one-off? Kevin Smith said there's an incomplete version they could release, but they wouldn't want to do that. So there's a lot of things that need to... But why do something like this, I guess, is the question to both of you when Michael wakes up. Why do
I'm sorry. I fell asleep. I fell asleep for a minute.
Why
I fell
do
asleep.
something like
I'm
this?
awake.
Anybody want to guess?
Why put it out in the press?
Yeah,
because he's like what you said with Vin Diesel. He's trying to keep his name out there. He's trying to keep the dream of the Snyder Cut alive.
But why?
But
if it's not going to happen, why?
But don't you think, as one who would really like to see it, I'd be interested.
Yeah, of course I want to see it.
You're never going to see his true vision because he had to do all those rewrites after BVS before they started shooting.
But also, didn't you say this on one of the episodes where I was gone?
What's that?
Didn't you finally admit that you were over this whole thing?
I'm not over seeing the Snyder Cut. What I am over is him finding excuses and reasons to keep talking about it if it's not going to happen. It's like that guy you run into 2 years later and he's still talking about his ex-girlfriend. You're just like, dude, you've got to let it go. She's not coming back. You're not getting back together. So to me, I don't know what the point of all this is other than to keep his connection with the fans going, but direct another movie. That's how you get your connection with the fans going. I know he has 2 films in the works, so just focus on that. To me, keeping talking about this, either A, it's going to happen, and so they're letting him go and do this nutty shit because it still keeps people's attention for it, or the other side of it is it's never going to happen and he's just being like crazy about it.
I mean, I just feel bad for him at this point.
You do?
I feel bad a little bit. I'm like, dude, let it go.
Right.
Let it go. Like it's just my feelings about those movies notwithstanding.
Right.
They happened.
Yeah.
They're done.
They were out there.
It's over. We have the Joker just won Academy Awards.
Yeah.
The new Batman franchise is getting ready to go. Ben Affleck's past it.
Yeah.
He's very over it. Henry Cavill seems pretty over it.
Yeah.
Like everyone has moved on and he's sitting here giggling and posting things on Twitter and getting everybody all riled up that for something that even if let's just say let's say Warner Brothers has this secret plan and HBO Max is going to release the Snyder Cut in some form, kind of form on HBO Max, and it's going to be this big thing, see Justice League as you've never seen it before.
Or see it for the first time.
Yeah. What happens from that? So everybody will watch it and say, okay, that's a thing. Right. Cool. And is it okay? Vindication. It's better than Joss Whedon. Okay, cool. Here's a trophy. It has nothing to do with what's going to nothing about that is going to say Ben Affleck's out. He clearly has no intention of continuing doing this.
Right.
It almost drove him to some really bad places. He talked about it in an interview. As we discussed, everyone's moved on. Warner Brothers, which is trying to figure out what to do with their universe, going back to that isn't going to help them.
Right.
So I just think it's one of those things. It's even if everyone's wildest dreams came true, cool. You saw it. Okay.
Yeah. It's sort of a Tom Arnold True Lies 2 thing where he would always talk about that in the press. Oh yeah, I had a conversation with Cameron. We're going to be filming soon. I got a script. It's just one of those things that seems like it's never going to happen. I mean, everyone kind of trumpeted the fact that Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck posted that on Instagram saying release the Snyder Cut. As far as I know, and granted, I'm not following the story.
Right.
As far as I know, that was sort of the end of it for Gal and
probably.
Ben.
Probably, because Ben said in the interview, he said he asked me to do something. He was very supportive of me playing Batman, so I thought, why not? Let's do it because the director and Ben is a director, so Ben said the director's vision should be out there for people to see. So I'm sure he felt pretty upset about the fact that they weren't willing to let him finish his cut of the film. So that's a personal thing overall. So I get it. I just don't understand what the end game, for lack of a better term, what the end game is here for this, because either you're in or you're out. They've said they're not going to do it. If they're not going to do it, why do you keep bringing it up? You're not it's not like you're, how can I say this? It's not like you're Dennis Hopper in Hoosiers, right? Oh, I missed the shot that could have won me the game. Like, he's not stumbling around Hollywood drunk, still talking about the time he was famous, right? He's got other projects in the work, but I wonder if you're a studio, why do you hire this guy to do your film if he's so caught up with another film? Like, why do you start dating the guy if he's still talking about his ex-girlfriend the whole time?
Well, maybe that's the reason his other projects haven't moved forward.
Yeah, maybe.
Also, to your point, in any story where you have that person that is stuck on that shot that would have won them the thing,
right?
The whole point of that story is for them to get over it.
Yeah, to move on. And get over.
So
that's my
let's
point.
take a point. Let's take a little lesson from narrative storytelling 101 and move on.
And we'll see if it happens. I just think one or two things happen. Either he doesn't move on, and that's a terrible story, or B, they've actually said to him, "We are going to do this. Just keep it just do your crazy stuff to keep it in people's minds." We'll see.
And again, maybe they will decide that. I would say that were I an executive, and again, my opinions of those movies notwithstanding, while you're watching Marvel continue to dominate, okay, maybe not completely notwithstanding. To be fair, not completely, but while you're watching Marvel continue to dominate, and you're watching, as we've discussed, one of the challenges of the Star Wars franchise is not strong continuous storytelling, and you're trying to figure out your DC universe, I don't think the thing that's going to help you out is giving an alternative version of something that didn't work the first time and throwing that out there.
That's not a bad point. Absolutely a good point. So, we'll see what happens. I mean, I love it. Also, one last thing before we jump into our thing, quick reactions to Karyn Kusama coming on as the director for Dracula. Are you guys excited about that? Did you hear the news this morning?
No, I did not.
Yes, she is going to be doing Dracula, is essentially like Lee Winnell did Invisible Man.
For Blumhouse.
Ooh,
and
okay.
Universal Pictures. So do you like this?
I do like it, yeah.
Okay.
That's exciting. I did not know. So, hey, news broke here.
Woohoo! Not by me. It was already out there. It was news broken to Vogel.
News broken to me.
Yeah, right.
Right here. You saw it first.
Any credit for that? People get mad about that shit.
Yeah, sounds cool.
Did you see Invisible Man
I
yet?
still haven't seen it. And no. And everybody says it's amazing. I've just been busy doing a lot of stuff, and then I got food poisoning. It was a whole thing. But I actually do think I'm going to go see it in the next couple days. I really do want to check it out. Everyone who's seen it has says it's really good.
It is fantastic.
It's really good, and if they can do Dracula in that sort of same vein, sort of a modernized take, fantastic.
Almost like a dark universe.
Nope.
They
They don't want to connect anything up, they said initially. I think they'll do 3 or 4 of these, see how it goes, and then they'll find a way to connect it. So, because certainly that, I'm not going to spoil anything. All right, let it go. Just go see Invisible Man if you haven't seen it. I like this too. She directed the one of the best episodes of the Outsider that just finished up,
which is a fantastic series. If you haven't watched it yet,
it is a great series. We finished out in 2 days. Insane. The Yiddish vampire one. That's the episode she directed, and that is a damn good episode. Episode 6 in the series. So go and enjoy her work there. Of course, she did a couple other films like Destroyer with Nicole Kidman. That's fantastic as well. All right. Anyway, let's jump into our break. That was our geek news topics, and we'll be right back after this. Talk about our main topic in just a second. And we're back. Well, there we go. We can only hold the pose so long at our ages.
I think the break on our YouTube stream is my favorite part of the episode. It's my favorite thing that you guys who are sitting here watching us get to see.
Well, Mikey, do you want to lead us into this one since you're the gay one on the crew?
No, you go ahead, please.
Crew.
You go ahead and give. You give the info because I will have a lot to say about it, and I don't want to monopolize the entire conversation. All of our friends right now just said, that's a first. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
They're not wrong. So anyway, we'll jump into this thing. It's from, let me see if I can find it before he hits me. This is from Maisie Williams. She was being interviewed about the New Mutants, which is actually coming out in April. If you can believe it. And wouldn't it be funny if the coronavirus pushes the release of this thing after it's been pushed for 2 years now? It pushes one more time. Anyway, I don't mean to.
By the way, I do want to say, when I got food poisoning this week, before I knew it was food poisoning,
Corona.
My first thought was Corona.
No,
not me.
I'm young and I'm healthy.
I should have washed my hands more.
Anyway, did you see the Daniel Craig SNL over the weekend?
I didn't.
I didn't watch it yet.
There's a great sketch where they're doing a daytime soap opera with everybody aware of coronavirus. So they're like touching each other from like far
Oh my God,
away.
that's funny.
They use dolls to fight when they're like fighting like this. And then just near the end of the sketch, one of the girls sneezes and every actor goes, nope, no. And then I'll just walk off the set. It's fucking brilliant.
I was at Netflix yesterday for a meeting, and everybody elbow bumped.
Yeah.
Everybody in the meeting was like, "Oh yeah, nice to meet you. Oh good, thanks for coming in." Whoa. Like it was, I just did this to a lot of people. I was like, "Hi, nice to meet you."
Actually works. Ellis is trying to do the knee thing where you go inside the knee as a handshake.
Like a hacky sack move.
Like you lift the knee and everyone, like the other knee goes inside.
Yeah.
So that's the handshake.
It's very intimate.
Yeah, I think it's even more intimate than a handshake. I would agree. A little too touching near the nether regions. Anyway, speaking of which, Maisie Williams has confirmed the New Mutants includes a same-sex romance, but she's promising that it is not a quote-unquote gimmick. And the final X-Men movie is produced by Fox, of course, and is brought by Disney. And after 2 years of delays, it's supposedly still coming out in April. So she was being interviewed about this, and she mentioned that it's not going to be a gimmick. Even Josh Boone, the director of the film, said that he converted to Wolfsbane and Mirage, to those outlets, that it has a beautiful love story, and it forms sort of the spine and focus of some of the character-driven stuff in the film. She says, and this is Maisie Williams, Ron and Danny have a telepathic connection in the comics, and so we just wanted to extend that in the film and put that within reality. If they really could understand each other on that level, then you'd probably end up falling in love with that person. All right. It's not really a story about these two characters understanding their sexuality. It's not centered around that, and they don't really necessarily label it. No one else does either, and no one really questions it. So it seems like it's being treated as just something that is, as opposed to something to really highlight and focus and make a big deal about. So, as I said earlier, as the gay one in the room, Michael, what do you feel about this situation?
I mean, after what, Beauty and the Beast and Endgame and Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker
and Onward
Onward, I'll give a little bit of credit to.
Wow.
They didn't make, only because like I just feel like they didn't make as big a deal out of it.
They certainly didn't.
As some of these others did, and it was at least like contextualized and it made sense. It wasn't just this throwaway. We'll get into this in a minute. We'll talk very detailed about it.
There will be an
I think the LGBTQ community, upon hearing this news, goes, okay. But it's like, oh yeah, there's this really important love story. Nobody labels it. Nobody really brings it up. It's just contextualized. It's not what the story's about, but it's the spine of some emotional stuff. It's like, this feels like so much. And again, I hope I'm wrong.
Right.
But this feels so much like what happens to the gay community or to the LGBTQ community all the time, which is, oh, well, we sort of had a love story, and that's kind of what we were going for. But of course, we're not going to call it that because, God forbid, the movie gets banned in China and like blah, 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 blah. And so it ends up being something that you're like, I guess you could infer that. And then, as happens with a lot of these other movies, the LGBTQ community has to rush to what actors said about something or what a director said their intention was to have something that they can have as theirs, which is just sort of barely hinted at on screen.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I was saying with the thing, it's just, it happened, you know, the live action Beauty and the Beast came out and they were all so proud of themselves that there was a out gay character, and it was barely in the movie at all. It's like what, 2 seconds at the very last second of the movie. And then what, it was LeFou and the guy.
The guy dancing.
The guy dancing. And then, you know, Endgame, I think the Russo brothers had their hearts were in the right place, especially with one of them playing the role. But to say that Endgame has the first gay character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're like, oh, is there going to be some hero that shows up? Is there going to be some reveal? Is there going to be something? No, it's a guy in a support group saying he went on a date. Right. And like, look, it is great that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there are gay people and they exist and they go on dates. It's a lovely thing. Right. But it's like, it seems like that's it. And then similarly, Rise of Skywalker, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like, oh, we've got a gay couple in Rise of Skywalker for literally 0.2 seconds in the last. It's just this constant thing that happens. And it is because, like, I do think that most creators, writers, directors, spoiler alert, LA is pretty liberal. So I think most creators, writers, directors, actors, whatever, would love to have gay characters. And I think most studios, although they might personally love to support that, there are a lot of places, China being a big one, where if you have a strong gay presence in your movie, like, your movie might not get shown. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you're not, it's am I going to sacrifice X numbers of dollars in my box office for this thing, for a giant big movie?
Right.
Or can I do a thing where I can cut it out if I need to, and I can re-edit this for the international market? So that is sort of the thing that happens. But boy, is it frustrating.
Yeah, because I mean, it definitely the international box office. That's a great point, Mike. Is it's so important now for American films, because to have a gay character in an American television show or a British television show, in a relationship, not in a relationship, it's a non-factor. Like, it just is. Like, at the time, when Will and Grace came out, like, Jack was such a revelation at the time, but that was 20 years ago. Right. And so American TV and British television, they have progressed in a direction that movies have not been able to replicate. And it's because of that international box office that they're so petrified of a movie getting banned someplace. And I think, as you said, I mean, just to agree with you, coming out beforehand and saying we've done it, we've got a character in here. That seems to be a decision that a lot of films have made, and every single one of them have backfired.
Yeah, and look, I'm not dogging New Mutants. Like, I'm just shocked it's coming out, first of all. But I'm not dogging New Mutants, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this is going to be something that is this lovely story between these two, and it could be great. So, like, more power to them if that's where it goes. Yeah. But what I just said is sort of the lead up to why anyone in the LGBTQ community is like, yeah. And Marvel has made a big deal with Eternals, having some main characters that are going to be gay. And honestly, it will take a Marvel or a Star Wars just doing it no matter what to force somewhere like China to air it. Like, they're the only kind of franchises that are big enough that if they go for it, some of these territories are going to be like, fuck it, we're not going to not have this movie come out.
Well, I think Marvel more than Star Wars, because Star Wars doesn't do well in China anyway, so
fair.
I think it wouldn't matter if it was gay or
fair.
not.
No, that's fair.
I think Marvel, though, is the right choice in Eternals, and we'll see if we're hearing the same thing from somebody in Eternals and a cast member in Eternals saying the same thing. It's the spine of the movie. It's a strong relationship. We'll see. I think New Mutants is where you take that chance to do that, right? You're not expecting much from it. It's a smaller film. It's a new approach to the mutant thing. You're turning it into a horror movie. So you can go and explore that a little bit more in the international box office. You're not depending on it as strongly as you would on other films. I think Eternals is going to be a great test of that, and I look forward to it. And as a Latino, to me, when they talk about representation, I'm not gay. I don't have that.
What? What?
If you're watching this, you can see the difference in wardrobe right now.
True. Very true. Although I would think gay men do like comfortable clothes as well. I don't think that's a negative.
Not when they're on camera.
Fair enough. But that's the thing, in my opinion, is overall that it's like, can you get it right, and can you do it effectively? Although I would argue Aunt Draco does like to wear random shirts on camera that maybe aren't the best to wear. So I love. I'm not
gonna dog Mark on camera either.
Mark, I'm just saying.
Mark, you look lovely.
He does.
Does he wear sweatpants?
Just about. I mean, those jeans have been around for quite some time. That the denim is worn off, and they're essentially.
I will say, I walked in here today, and I was like, "Oh, this is what we're wearing."
It's my office, damn it. We're relaxing.
Wear your comfortable clothes to work day. It's cool.
What? Anyway. What was I saying? Damn, you're throwing me off. Anyway, you do want to see representation that means something. And at the end of the day, lip service or cursory or a quick 2-second kiss, or even someone mentioning my partner that is a female character like we saw in Onward, it doesn't do the job. And Shannon, you brought up a great point. We see it way more in TV series that go internationally, are shown in other countries.
Because that money is not...
Exactly.
It's not the same financial...
Of course.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting at. I'm saying TV shows can get away with it.
And I do think... I just want to say this because
yeah.
I'm sure, because on my Twitter feed, like I've said, with My Little Pony, anytime a gay thing happened, I got yelled at and harassed. Yeah. I also got complimented by a lot of people, a lot of supportive stuff, but... Sure. So I'm sure that some of our listeners who might be more conservative are kind of thinking, well, but why do you need this? Like, why is it so important? Like, why? Like, the typical thing is, why is this a SJW thing? Why do you have to like throw it in our face? Why do you have to do this? Why do you have to do that? Like, that's a thing. No, I mean, like, look, I'm just saying that is a. Those are comments that come up a lot.
Of course. That
I just want to say. I just want to explain it a little bit. I want to address the kind of the reaction to that without sort of going crazy and yelling at people, which is, all of us growing up watch these movies, and every single one of us picks the character that we're like. Mm-hmm. Everyone is like, I'm Luke Skywalker, I'm Princess Leia, I'm Captain America, I'm Black Widow, whatever it is. And when you're straight, those people line up with what's going on. If you want to be Captain America and he's got his girlfriend Peggy Carter and like you want to have a girlfriend and you're like, God, that was a romantic moment. Like it lines up with what your worldview is.
Right.
And when you're gay growing up or when you're LGBTQ on any level, you have to sort of make a leap. Like I always wanted to be Luke Skywalker. Or more specifically, I wanted to be Han Solo. But I knew that I didn't like a Princess Leia. I was like a Han Solo that probably wanted to hang out with Luke Skywalker more. And you don't have that character that looks like you, that acts like you. And you don't have that sort of like, oh, that's me. And like, so for me, when I was a kid, like the first time I saw Will and Grace on TV, it was like, oh my God, finally.
Right.
Like this is what my life is like. Like this is what I aspire to be. More Will than Jack, but you know.
True.
But you know, and I think that that's what's so important is that, you know, it seems like anytime one gay character shows up, you have a certain part of the community going, why does it have to be here? But it's like, well, there's every straight person. And it's the same with any level of representation. It's the same with more women superhero leads. It's the same with minority superheroes. It's the same with any of this stuff. And so I just think I wanted to say that because I do think it comes up a lot. Like, why is this so important? There's actually a really great on Apple Plus documentary called Visible. It's like a 5-part documentary, I believe, maybe 6, all about the history of LGBTQ characters on television, which is really, really fascinating.
Yeah. And I think it's important too to address that kind of thing. And I think you're right. You want to speak about what's actually happening, and when people respond to it, the positive or negative responses to it. But when people say like, "Oh, you're putting it in my face," I don't understand that because everything is being put in your face in the film. Like everything is being put in your face. The straight relationship is being put in your face in the film. In a romantic comedy, the best friend is being put in your face. So those kind of arguments, to me, they betray an actual distaste for that situation. It's not about the fact, and I'm not yelling at anybody. I think it's actually, if people are being honest with themselves, they just don't want to see. Some people don't want to see gay characters on screen. They get uncomfortable by it, and so they're like, "Why do you have to put it in my face?" Everything is in your face. That's what a movie does. That's what a TV show does. Any form of media, we're putting ourselves in your face. So it's all connected in that way. So that argument never holds weight to me. Now, if it's a moral issue or a religious issue, I absolutely understand that and respect that. But by the same token, you have to create the space that this is an entertainment medium. So everybody should be involved and be able to participate and be a part of it. So if you're going to focus on a homosexual storyline, it should feel like it's not a big deal, which is what encourages me about what Maisie said. It's not a big deal. It's part of the thing. No one highlights it. No one points it out. That being said, that could work for some, and I'm not gay, like I said, but that could work for some gay people, and it may not be enough representation for other gay people.
It depends on what they mean by nobody mentions it or it's not said. Like, I don't need someone to be like, you two are lesbians. I am okay with this. In this mutant world, lesbians are fine. Like, I don't need all that.
What new mutant would that be?
Definitely if they say it like that.
Yeah, I mean,
it was like Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse. That's kind of what that was. But like, I just think that like, But if it's like one of those things that it's so subtle as to be like it could be seen either way,
right.
I'll call it the Elsa problem.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, one of the big challenges with Elsa as a character is that Elsa, from the moment she sang "Let It Go" and "I need to be who I'm gonna be," the entire gay community was like, "She's ours.
Yeah,
we're taking her," and she doesn't have a love interest. And particularly with Frozen 2, it almost feels like the creators are like, "Hey guys, she's a lesbian. She's all lesbian. She's wearing pants. Yeah. We're good here." And yet,
straight ladies don't wear no pants.
Listen, that was a Hillary Clinton pantsuit in that movie.
Enough.
You cannot tell me different.
Fair enough.
But no, I just think that like it's that problem of like a lot of there's a ton of characters. Gay, the LGBTQ community has done what we always do is if you're not going to give us a character that represents us, we're going to take the ones that we think do.
Like the Babadook.
We're taking the Babadook. We're taking Peppermint Patty. We're taking Velma. Sure. We're taking Elsa. Like, there are characters that we're like, well, we're just going to take them as ours and say they are ours because no one's giving us any. And it's just like, if these two characters end up being those, it's like, okay, that's just more people that will assume. Yeah. But it would be great to not have to assume.
Let me ask you. Oh, sorry.
Well, no, I was going to say two questions. So the throwing in your, like when folks say like, why do you have to throw it in my face? Do you think that comes as a result of them actually watching the film or watching the television show, or the announcement that precedes it?
The announcement that.
And whenever you guys had a gay character come up on Pony, was that something that was announced, or did it just sort of get presented?
Both versions happened. There was
one have a more stronger reaction than the other.
Oh, it's the same.
Okay,
it's the same. And it's really funny. It like I'll give you an example of I'll give you a Pony example that I just find hilarious, which is we had Scootaloo. We talked about this before, but we had Scootaloo, one of the Cutie Mark Crusaders, in an episode. Her aunts showed up, and it was just made clear that those aunts were not sisters. They were a married couple. And I get tweeted at saying, how dare I bring sex into My Little Pony?
Whoa.
It's so disgusting that we're sexualizing ponies. And I'm like, we had a straight couple that got married and had a baby in the show. And that was cool. But showing two aunts that aren't sisters is all of a sudden it's bringing sex into it and whatever. And that's sort of what you're dealing with. It's this weird double standard that as soon as there are just gay characters on any level, it's not the announcement, and it's not the context, it's not the amount of time, it's not even the amount that they're in the episode. The episode wasn't about these characters, they were just there. And there's just this thing in all entertainment, kids entertainment in particular, where if LGBTQ characters even show up, there is a portion of the population that goes, this is disgusting, it's sex, you're sexualizing, when you're like, no, it's just two people that love each other.
It's a shield they're hiding behind. Because they don't have a taste for it. And I understand that. They have a distaste for it. I get it. Just be honest about it. Just say, I don't have a distaste for it, or I don't have taste for it. What I did want to ask, though, and did I cut you off in any way?
No,
okay. What I did want to ask, though, both of you as someone who's worked in the theme parks and someone like you, Mike, who's a massive Disney fan, and of course I enjoy Disney stuff as well, but I'm not, that.
I don't like Disney that much.
I'm not in Club 33 and stuff. But
by the way, I am not Club 33. I just go sometimes.
Well, and Club 33 is awesome.
Okay, good. I'm glad. The silverware is brilliant. My question is, do you get frustrated when Disney has gay days and Disney knows that the homosexual community is a very strong part of their, I don't know, financial positivity and success, that they are still in their movies willing to take the shortcut rather than just put it out there and embrace it?
Well, so here's where I will say, so here it's kind of what I was saying before. First of all, Gay Days is not a Disney event. It is
but they don't go, don't do this.
They don't. Well, yeah. I remember when I was a kid.
They know it's happening.
I went. My family went on vacation when I was in middle school to Orlando, and I knew I was gay. I was super in the closet. And we just happened to go to Disney on Gay Days. Most uncomfortable day at Disney I've ever had in my life. But, we're walking to stuff, and I'm, looking around at everybody in a red shirt. I'm like, oh, they're gay, they're gay, they're gay. But, there was a big sign out front at that point that said, there's an event happening. Disney has nothing to do with this. Disney does not, this is not a Disney condoned event.
But we'll take their money and happily have them in my park.
It's not about just taking their money. I'd say over half the executives working at Disney at top levels are gay.
That's what I'm saying, but that's what I'm getting at.
But Disney, and look, this is inherently what the problem is. Disney is, their entire brand is family friendly.
Yes.
And there is a chunk of the population that does not find the LGBTQ community family friendly. That sucks. It's horrible. Right. But as Disney is trying to balance what they can do, and so from where it used to be when I was a kid, where this is not a Disney accepted event, whatever. Now Disney kind of completely embraces it and allows it to happen. You can see rainbow ears in the park. I don't think they call them pride ears, but it's clearly what they are. And they're trying to put Jungle Book has a gay character in it. Jungle Cruise.
Right.
Keep saying that to you.
It's Emily Blunt's brother.
Yeah, Emily Blunt's brother.
Yeah.
And again, is this going to be a big part of the movie? Is it a little part of the movie? Is he just going to, is it going to be a throwaway thing like some of these others?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or set up for gay jokes, which wouldn't be good.
Well, that would not be good. Onward, as you said, there's a mention. One of the cops has a girlfriend. They are trying... It's one of those things, I'm of two minds about it, and I think this is because I was an executive for so long at a company like a Hasbro, and I'm an LGBTQ, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community and a creator now. I see both sides of it, and I can see creatively them trying to do what they can while not wanting to give up we're the family-friendly company, or we want the Chinese box office, and I do respect that sort of push and pull.
You do?
I respect. I get the issue with it. Do I want them to say, fuck it, let's just go for it?
Yeah.
Do I want a Disney prince or princess to be openly gay in a lead role? 100% I do.
Right.
Do I want to just be able to have characters be gay or straight or gender non-binary or trans and have it not matter? Of course I do. But, I just recently pitched a show when, a few weeks ago when I went to Kids Screen that had some gay themes to it. And like was told by one of the companies that we pitched to, one of the big companies, that like they thought it was a lovely pitch and they would never take it because half their territories internationally just wouldn't even accept the show.
Yeah.
Like
that's the uphill battle.
They were all super complimentary. They liked the story. Right. They knew that I was openly gay. Like they were like, we get that this is a really important story for you. We won't be able to sell this in these 8 territories that are super important to us.
Yeah.
And so it's a reality. It sucks.
Yeah.
Like it just sucks. And believe me, like as anybody in this community can tell you, it sucks to have to live in a world where discrimination against us is still on some level okay.
Yep.
Like if a territory was like, we're not going to take a Latino movie, or we're not going to take a black movie, or we're not going to take this movie, it's like, you're like, well, you can't do that.
Yeah, right.
And with us, it's sort of like, yeah, it sucks, but what are you going to do?
Right.
Well, and as a performer, like
Not to take away any of the struggles that any other community has, by the way.
No, but I think you make a good point.
So as a performer, like at Universal, like we had, I don't think maybe it's happened in Hollywood, I'm not sure, but in Orlando, they definitely had the unofficial gay days as well.
Right.
And for the most part, as a performer, gay days is a blast.
Right.
Because the people come and they just want to have a good time. There's
a reason we're called gay. We are very fun.
There are some performances where they want to help a little too much, but that also is true any other day of the year.
Straight people do that all the time.
100%.
You've complained about them many times trying to do too much on the Rapture stuff. So yeah, so that's.
I don't need your help.
Yeah,
I don't need your help.
I got it. And that's the thing that frustrates me. And maybe I am a bit of a hard ass about this kind of stuff. I'm like, if you're going to do it and benefit from it, then embrace it. And if you're not going to fully embrace it, stop trying to put one finger. Stop trying to coronavirus it, which is like the elbow. I'm going to come that close. I'm not going to come all the way around. And I get it financially, blah, 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 blah. But every family has homosexual people in it. Every family has someone in some way, a cousin or an uncle or a second cousin.
Whether they know it or not.
Whether they know it or not, who is gay. And it is family friendly.
That uncle that dresses really well and buys you the best presents. Listen. And
the thing is, we've had gay people in film for many years and in TV. Like Billy Crystal was a gay character on soap in the 70s.
Well, again, and TV,
so it's like it's been coming.
And TV is a very different medium because the way that they finance the shows, the way that they make the money on the shows is different, and it allows them to do shows where you have that. But I mean, again, definitely check out this Visible documentary on Apple Plus. Like Billy Crystal, they talk about it. They talk about soap. They talk about All in the Family. They talk about the Jeffersons, all the way up through where we are today. Obviously Ellen coming out, Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, everything. And
the L word.
TV, in this respect, TV is further ahead of the movie industry. And it really does get down to this international box office. I mean, I am telling you, like, without the international box office issue, without the fact that there are huge territories where you would just take a huge hit, if not be completely blocked from the movie coming out, I think we would see these little throwaway moments would be bigger moments, would be bigger characters. We would get Finpo. We would get, like these things. We would be there. And so it's a challenge because basically what you're saying is there's certain parts of the world that are way more discriminatory, and we know that sucks and we're sorry, but we also want their money.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I have no argument.
Okay.
I mean, that's true.
Well, that's what I call him the best color man in the business, folks. All right.
Oh, that was good. That was a good one.
If you haven't seen Major League,
that was a good one.
From 1988.
That's a reference.
I will say that, I mean, not that it's all frustrating. The fact that we even, again, I'm not complimenting these things from happening, but the fact that there's even these little moments where they're trying, as frustrating as they are, at least it's a tiny, I wouldn't even call it a step, a tiny little nudge forward. And, that's what you need to keep doing. And if you are a gay creator, if you are an LGBTQ writer, director, storyteller, whatever, keep telling your stories. I mean, we are finally in a place where there are a lot of places that want those authentic stories. And I do think the fact that we have a lot of these streaming services like the Netflixes and the HBO Maxes, you kind of telling their own movies, like Netflix is releasing movies. They are the ones that can make a movie that has more of a gay LGBTQ theme to it. And still make their money because they're a subscription service. Their money financial model is different. Right. So I think there are places where these movies can start to happen and can start to be seen. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, something. Hey, I just thought of something. Anytime a theme park does any sort of celebration of a certain holiday or a certain culture, it's not because they love that culture. It's because they want the money.
They want that money, and that matters.
And that's capitalism. Yeah, and that's business.
That's right. Oh, well, good cherry to put on top of that cake. Thank you so much. All right, well, there we go. That's this episode of the Geek Buddies. I want to thank all of you for watching and listening, and hope we opened your mind a little bit, or like got you thinking about something. No matter what we talked about, whether it was the main topic or the other three geek news items. Maybe we
or Shannon's hate of the Jungle Cruise trailer.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't hate the trailer.
Maybe he represented you. Speaking of representation, maybe he represented you in that point of view. So many things to talk about there. That was a lot of fun today. So, what can we say?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's at @geek_buddies. On Instagram, at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung. On Instagram, at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it's at MK2. And if you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha, it's at The Rocha Says.
Listen, we know you have a lot of diverse opinions, but we want you to go out there and we want you to represent us because representation is important. So we'd like you to, if you're watching us right here on YouTube, we'd like you to rate us, leave some comments here below, subscribe. If you're listening to us on Anchor or iTunes or Spotify or wherever your podcasts are from, give us some comments, give us some ratings, give us some feedback, spread us to your friends, tell everyone about us.
And we do read all of those.
Yeah.
Obsessively.
We do. And they're very kind. You guys have been very kind about the show since it got onto YouTube and certainly on the streaming services as well. So can't tell you how much we appreciate that.
Yeah, and we just honestly, we want more people to listen so that our viewership goes up, so that we go higher up and get out there further, so that we can keep doing this because we like getting together and talking about geeky stuff. Yeah,
and we might even do a live show down the road. That would be a lot of fun as well for our friends. Certainly we've done a top 10 and would love to do it for Geek Buddies.
To talk to my agent, but we'll see, maybe.
Oh, okay. All right, well, anyway, thanks so much. We will see you next week for another episode of
The Geek Buddies! Hey!